The flag's waving, the band playing, the Scottish team dressed in white for this occasion run out and take their place. There's David Soul, the captain, for this quarter-final. The knockout stage is now. The winners know that they go through to a semi-final here at Murrayfield against the winners of that game in Paris between France and England. A chilly wind blowing down the pitch here at Murrayfield. And the anthems. For the Western Samoans, now it's turn for Flower of Scotland. Beat Ireland last Saturday. Sean Linneen failing a late fitness test on his knee, so 21-year-old Graham Shield comes into the centre for only his second cap. Craig Chalmers, who took a bang on the leg in the last match, was past fit yesterday. The side captain for the 17th time by prop forward David Soul. And now the Western Samoan side, their Dama. Scotland facing up to that challenge from the Western Samoan side, who have been forced to make one change from the last match. Lock Matt Keenan is suspended after being sent off against Argentina. Eddie Ioane takes his place in the second row to make his World Cup debut. 12 of that team are playing for their fourth match out of four, including the captain, like David Soul, a prop forward. That's Peter Fatialofa. Officiating today in his 13th international is the Welsh referee, Mr. Derek Bevan. A packed Murrayfield, expectant, anticipating a cracking match between the surprise package of the tournament, Western Samoa, and the home team and favourites, Scotland. Anatalea Ailupo, the full-back for Western Samoa, places the ball on the centre spot and prepares to kick off, and this surely the most intimidating atmosphere the Samoans have yet faced. Derek Bevan gets the game underway. Ailupo kicks long. A slight breeze in the favour of the Western Samoans. The ball going over the dead ball line, and Gavin Hastings just getting a first feel of the ball and chipping it forward to his brother Scott under the posts. Important to get hands on the ball first thing. And Craig Chalmers, the outside half, who had a fitness test earlier this week, restarts for Scotland. Bird whistles underneath it, but Gray wins it for Scotland. Armstrong. This is Gavin Hastings. John Jeffrey. And feeding the blind, Gavin Hastings again. Derek White's in there. And the bodies piling in, and an electric start, Gordon Brown.
It sure is, Alistair. Scotland certainly nailing their colours to the mast in the manner in which they're going to take on this Western Samoan pack. There's a lot of energy that has to be sapped out of the Western Samoas early on in this game from the Scottish viewpoint. Intriguing though how Scotland used Gavin.
The first scrummage of the match. Mr. Bevan unhappy about that, and Gerald Davis, these boys can tackle though, can't they?
Well, they certainly can, but what is interesting there from the Scottish point of view is that they kept the ball in the hands. They are running into this wind, this very stiff breeze at the moment, and they're keeping the ball in the hand, just as they're doing at the moment.
Pick up Derek White. Scotland puts burrowing in there. Armstrong digs the ball out. Chalmers hoists high. Lupo's underneath it. Nobody wants it. Held up in the wind, and that's David Soul. Can't hold it. Knock on.
But that kick then showed how tricky the wind can be. It was a good kick from Chalmers, but it just hung in the air and fell short in the end.
Yes, David Soul will be very disappointed he didn't gather that one in. Fabulous opportunity gone wasted.
Via the Western Samoan scrum half. The scrum crabs round. And Mr. Bevan unhappy with that. That's the second scrum we've had, and both of them have been forced to the floor. A terrific battle up the front there. On the far side of that scrum, it's Paul Burnell against Fatty Alofa, the Western Samoan captain. And again it collapses. There's an awful lot of weight in that front row. Western Samoan hooker Tomalatai is 17 stone 4. Scotland steal one against the head. Drive forward. Chalmers and Armstrong, a little misunderstanding, but Jeffries recovers. John Jeffrey. Armstrong. Chalmers on the blind side. Chalmers dummies. Chalmers finds support from Gray. Armstrong again, and doubles back to the narrow side. Jeffrey. The tackle's coming in.
But wonderful at the moment, see Scotland playing, managing to get the first phase possession and then securing it and maintaining it after that. Good play close to the forwards from them.
Via the put in. Scrum collapse this side again. And it's David Soul for Scotland, number 1 there. He's up against Alalatoa. Via. Samoa win this one. Scotland penalised. Offside. And Western Samoa get the chance to clear their lines. 4 minutes gone. Scotland 0, Western Samoa 0. And this is Steve Batchup with a huge spiralling kick down the touchline. Hasn't found touch, and this is Gavin Hastings. Hoists high, the ball holds up in the wind. Underneath it is Tangaloa. Tangaloa! Scots dive over. And the penalty for Western Samoa. The body's diving over. The referee's signal very explicit. Penalised Chris Gray and penalising him 10 metres more for talking back.
Yeah, so we saw Gavin Hastings' kick actually blow back on him there. He didn't get enough depth in it at all. And of course, when it came down, Scotland were all at sea. But I certainly give the Western Samoan Tagaloa 10 out of 10 for the way he fielded the ball and held on to the possession and looked for the supporters coming in. And Scotland certainly were penalised quite rightly for going over the top. But goodness me, what an idiotic thing to do, to speak back to a referee. I mean, Scotland had shown so much character there, how they started and get into the game, and the discipline was fabulous. And in one daft move, the discipline has gone, and we're now staring a 3-point deficit.
This is Matt Via, the scrum half. Kicked 22 points so far in this competition. 5 conversions and 4 penalties. He was practicing here yesterday and wasn't striking the ball particularly well, but I should think he'd be glad to have one right in front of the posts for his first effort today. Via kicks high between the posts. 3 points to Western Samoa. 6 minutes gone. It's Scotland 0, Western Samoa 3. The penalty from Matthew Via.
Well, that was a 3-point bonus that the Western Samoans certainly hadn't been banking on following the first 5 minutes of play.
but due to ill discipline in the main coming from Gray, something you wouldn't have expected at this stage in the game so early.
There's Chris Gray, he'll be regretting that, the dentist from Nottingham. Playing his 21st cap today, so he's got plenty of experience, but just carried away. And gifting 3 points to Western Samoa. Hastings restarts, and again the ball holds up in the wind. Jeffrey gets a hand to it, and Sol piles on. Chalmers, the high kick again, hangs in the wind. Hastings is bundled over as he tries to chase it. Samoa going forward, win the scrum.
Well taken by Iolupo at full back. It was a beautiful take because it's such a tricky wind at the moment. The ball not going quite where it's intended by Chalmers because it just hangs there in the air and sometimes drifts back.
Anatalea Iolupo, the fullback, a good take from him. And a good scrum from Western Samoa. Vaya to bunt to Bishop. Again, he hasn't found touch. And this is Gavin Hastings. Again, hoist high. Birtwistle's underneath it. Hastings punches back, but there's nobody there. This is White trying to recover. Derek White. Shield now. Oh, what a tackle on John Jeffrey. And there's a bit of punching going off the ball. Bunce and Gary Armstrong fighting. And the touch judge on this near side, Sandy McNeil, has pointed something out to Derek Bevan.
Yes, Bunce grabbed a hold of Gary Armstrong there and wouldn't allow him to get back into the ruck. We'll maybe see it here as it sets up. John Jeffrey certainly wouldn't find...
And the penalty awarded against Gary Armstrong, to the disappointment of the crowd.
Now, it all happened off camera, but certainly after the hospital pass from Tukolo was given to John Jeffrey took Bunce's tackle. What a tackle it was. He still set up the situation. And as Gary Armstrong then tried to get into the back of the ruck to take the ball from the back of the ruck, Bunce held on to him, just grabbed it. Here it comes.
Look at it on the left of the picture there.
Now, Armstrong, he was penalised for throwing the punch. But Bunce held on to him for, I would say, something like 4 or 5 seconds by the leg.
So Gary Armstrong penalised, and this gives his opposite number, Vaya, the chance. After 9 minutes of this first half, Western Samoa already 3 points ahead, and Vaya with a chance to make it 6. Ball blows over in the wind. Doddy Weir played in all 3 games so far in the World Cup, scored a try against Zimbabwe. Vaya strikes it well. Will the wind carry it? Not quite. Taken by Armstrong. 10 minutes gone. Western Samoa still leading by 3 points to 0.
And very interestingly too, we're 10 minutes into the game and we haven't had a line out.
Won by Scotland. This is Jeffrey. Armstrong. Hastings again. Western Samoa penalised this time. And will we get that first line out? It's been noticeable so far. The Western Samoans have kicked twice but not made touch, probably deliberately. But this time I should think Hastings will pump the ball into touch and we'll get that first line out. Yes, he does. And Gordon Brown, the line out obviously where Scotland hope to establish superiority.
Well, Scotland must establish a colossal superiority in the line outs. Certainly the wind blowing down the pitch won't help.
The line out at the front is John Jeffrey, jumping at 1 against Iolupo, against Alalatoa, and won by Scotland scrappily. Armstrong goes through 1 tackle, He's wiry, the scrum half. In touch. So the first put in to the line out for Western Samoa. This is Tomalatai, the hooker, 17 stone 4 of him. The front is Alalatoa. Bert Whistle can't get a hand to it. Piling through is Vaifali. Basham. Underneath it is Hastings, takes it well. And kicks long. And Lupo is way back in his own 22. And again, doesn't want to make touch. Counter-attack from Tukalo, straight into touch.
Well, that was certainly very disappointing because Gavin Hastings was up with Ivan Tukalo and was looking for the ball. Scotland certainly intent in running the ball back at the Western Samoans.
But in the line-out, we were looking at Jeffrey there, who normally is at the back of the line-out, is second in the line-out, right down the very front, in front of Gray.
Yes, it looks as though Samoa trying to throw it to one by Ioane, dumping number 2 there, number 5, he's in for Keenan this game. This is Bunce. Bunce goes through 2 tackles. First to the ball, Vaifali. Hands up on the Scotland side. And again, Armstrong's in there, but so are the bodies. This is Calder. Calder has men outside. Chalmers. Hastings. White. Outside him is Stanger. Can't hold the ball. And a chance going begging for Scotland.
What a terrific play coming from Scotland there. It would be messy to begin with, the ball bouncing up and down. It was Calder then who brought it away, and suddenly there were 3 men on the Scottish right. But I think in the end it was a poor pass from White to Tukalo to Stanger on the right wing. Deserved much better than that. Let's look at it again. This is White, the number 8. He looks inside. He's got support there, but it's a poor pass. Bad timing from him to Stanger.
His fullback, Iolupa, he certainly held back there and didn't commit himself far too soon to the tackle, and that certainly left Derek White in 2 minds.
Derek White recovered. And the scrum put in to the Western Samoans. One against the head by Scotland, the second one. Chalmers, Hastings. Held up in the tackle by Bunce. Scotland again, Chalmers, Stanger, Chalmers, Armstrong. Good defence, and Scotland piling in again. And on the far side of the field, another touch judge's flag is up. This belongs to Kerry Fitzgerald, another Australian. And the man penalised this time is Bert Whistle, the blue number 4, Western Samoan, second row. And a penalty for Scotland, right in front of the post. The crowd are happy about that.
There's a super bit of play from Scotland, and the great thing there was Scott Hastings when he committed the tackler, and 2 of the Western Samoan boys thumped into him, but despite the clattering that he took, he stayed on his feet. Magnificent to see, and of course that allowed the Scottish back row to get there in numbers. Here we come. That was a knee going in by number 4. The left knee was raised. Well spotted by the touch judge on the far side.
Gavin Hastings. No problems for Gavin Hastings, and Scotland are level. 16 minutes gone, it's Scotland 3, Western Samoa 3, and Ian McGeechan, we caught a glimpse of there, a much happier man now.
The problem for Western Samoa is a matter of possession in the scrums, particularly. Already in the game so far, we've seen Scotland steal 2 against the head, and really in the loose too, just as we saw earlier on. Once Scotland get that kind of momentum going, Scotland make sure that they keep the possession.
John Allen, Scottish hooker, One of the least experienced of a very experienced pack. And the restart is from Ailupo. Straight to his opposite number, Gavin Hastings. And Gavin Hastings, with one penalty already, makes a good touch. Short line called by the Samoans. Vaya and his hooker Tomolatai consult. At the front for them is Ioane. Ioane wins it. Vaya, lovely pass. Indecision between the Samoans. Batchup and his number 8 Lamb didn't know what each other was doing. And Scotland steal the ball and drive. And Armstrong. Weir. Allen. Armstrong again, the little chip. Chalmers is chasing, so's Gavin Hastings. Ailupo into touch.
Yes, it's ironic that Scotland's attacking position has come from a superbly won line-out ball by Western Samoa.
Scotland's forwards gather, making sure they all know the signal as an injured player is dealt with right away on the halfway line, but the referee says play on down there, 10 metres away from the Samoan line. Weir can't hold it. Samoans have it. Vaya. Good kick, good touch from the scrum half. Matthew Vaya, 25-year-old scrum half. Well-built young man, 13 stone 10. Injured man recovered. Pat Lam is okay now. And Calder wins this. This is Chalmers. Chalmers. Oh, the ball tapped down from his hands. Hastings, Tupelo. Put in for Western Samoa, and those tackles are coming in. But to Scotland's credit, they're running at them, taking on the tacklers. This is Vaya at scrum half. Batchup. Kicks into space. Stanger has to go back. Ball carried on the wind, deep into the Scottish 22. And Stanger, with not much of an angle, makes touch.
Yes, that was an excellent scrum there by the Western Samoans. Perfect strike with the ball. And fed right back. Very comfortable in the scrumming.
Tomolatai throws at the front for Alalatoa. The front peel, scrum half Vaya. Knock on. And a let off for Scotland there as Vaya sprints round the front of that line out. Armstrong. Comfortable strike, comfortable put in. And not such a good kick for touch, but safe.
Scotland certainly should be well aware of how to deal with the flat ball to the front of the line out by the Western Samoans, because that was all Japan had to offer against Scotland, albeit that the Japanese did it very well indeed.
Yes, Samoa have put their prop forward, 6'4" Alalatoa at the front of the line. Scotland win it, barging though by the Samoans, and Scotland get the penalty. The tap penalty from Armstrong. He's got courage. Throws the ball forward in the tackle. But great to see, Gerald, the way the Scots are actually running at them despite their reputation for tackling.
Well, yes, it is. You know, they're playing into the breeze. They want to keep the ball as often as they can in the hand, but what they're doing so well at the moment is gaining that possession in the line-out, because they're putting Jeffrey and Gray together in the front, two tall men, forcing Western Samoa to throw beyond them.
And forcing them back in the scrum too. This is Bunce. Bunce is strong, stands up in the tackle, but Scotland get there first. And win the penalty. Bunce hanging on to the ball a bit too long, and Scotland take the tap penalty. Sol, Chalmers, Tupelo, tips ahead and chases. Ailupo goes back, takes it well. Ailupo. Gavin Hastings puts the ball into touch. And the Scottish player injured. Looks like Craig Chalmers. A bash in the head there.
Yes, the referee saw the infringement on Craig Chalmers, but he definitely played advantage there. He gave Scotland the chance.
Well, Craig Chalmers has been in the wars this World Cup, forced to leave the field against Zimbabwe. Not against Zimbabwe, forced to leave the field against Ireland. And spent this week. And let's have a look at the replay. There's Chalmers with the ball now, and there goes the tackle from Vayenga.
I've really got to say that when the referee has been so hard on the discipline, on the indiscipline so far, that was a situation for definitely stopping the game, irrespective of any advantage that was possibly going to be accrued by Scotland.
Well, Chalmers is back in action. Aimed at the back, won by Vaifali. Now tidied up. Here he is, Vaifali. Vaya. Bashop, the high ball. Bunt's meant to chase that. Hastings takes it, pulls the mark, and is thrown over by 6 foot 1 inch Bunts. Bunts pulls the mark and gets it. Good full-back play from Gavin Hastings.
He kept his eye on the ball so often against the Western Samoans there. And they're up.
Bad kick though. This is Lamb. Lamb. Oh, Lamb, what pace. Vaifali. Oh. Great attack by the Western Samoans. Superb run from Pat Lamb, the number 8. The knock-on giving Scotland the scrum. Armstrong, Chalmers. Craig Chalmers, 23-year-old, 23 only this week. Solid figure of Chomalatai. That's the view he has down the line out. 1 foot for Alalatoa. Not 5 metres though. And that routine between Tomalatai and Alalatoa, obviously an integral part of the Samoan line-out tactics. But because the ball didn't travel 5 metres, Scotland get a scrum put in. And Armstrong to Chalmers. To touch. Short line called by Samoa. Ioane is at the front, number 5, making his World Cup debut. Coming in for the injured Keenan. There he is, 18 stones worth of him. He's up against Derek White. Aimed over the back for Bunts. Bunts moving too soon. It's got to stay 10 metres until the ball crosses the end of the line. And so Bunts penalised. And Scotland will kick for touch through Gavin Hastings.
What a competitor Bunce is. what a fellow. Well, Gavin at the moment won't be too proud of his touch kicking. His fielding is absolutely immaculate. But the kicking, he needs just to keep the head down a wee bit more and follow through.
25 minutes gone, Scotland 3, Western Samoa 3. John Jeffrey at the front of the line for Scotland to counter-attack that throw to Alalatoa. Won by Western Samoa, untidily, diving through. His soul, offside. George Weir penalised, Doddy Weir. And Steve Bachop will get this kick. Put it into touch.
It seems almost ironic that Doddy Weir, the biggest man on the park, gets penalised for going through a line out.
There is George Weir, the baby of the forwards, only 21, 6 foot 7 inch tall. One at the back by Scotland, Armstrong. Armstrong ducks in, but only into the tackle of Lamb. just move it across field. And will win the put-in as the side going forward.
Well, the Samoans have certainly got the bit between their teeth. They're right back into this game.
25 minutes gone. It's Scotland 3, Western Samoa 3. This is Lamb at number 8. Lamb. Vaya. Oh, what a good pass to Batchup. Batchup now. This is Vaya. Vaya penalised. Hanging on to the ball. Must let go of the ball in the tackle, and Scotland through Hastings and Sol. Oh, again, crunching tackle, but he lays the ball back so well. This is Chalmers. The ball hanging in the air. Back goes Lima, and Ailupo lets it bounce. Ailupo is in trouble from Calder. Recovery from Lambs, kicks charged down by Chalmers. Jeffrey's in there. Armstrong, men over. Armstrong. Oh, the ball intercepted by Tangaloa. The knock-on from Tangaloa, and it looked then as if Scotland had a try at their mercy. Instead, they retain this attacking position with the put-in, and watch Finlay Calder on that far side, preparing to step off the scrum. That's Finlay Calder preparing to step back off the scrum then. There he goes. This is White to Armstrong. Calder, bundled over by Tangaloa, who picks the ball up. Scotland have it again. This is Shield. Hastings, oh, what a tackle from Perellini. Scotland have it again though. Chalmers. The kick's meant for Stanger. Ailupo can't take it. Stanger! Stanger to score. Tony Stanger following up to score his 13th try for Scotland. And Scotland go ahead by 7 points to 3. The scorer, Tony Stanger. We've had 29 minutes of this first half.
Yes, it seemed there as if Scotland had actually lost out the opportunity of attacking. Stanger certainly was up, very alert. It was unfortunate though for the Western Samoans that clattered into one another. Here's the ball coming back now. Chalmers, a lovely wee chip, and of course with the wind in Scotland's faces, it just hung there. But Scotland did look as if they had blown the situation. What impresses me in the broken play situations is when Scotland had at least a 3-man overlap from the ruck, the Western Samoans defence, they don't commit themselves early to the tackle.
Gavin Hastings has kicked 337 points now for Scotland. 36 of them in this World Cup so far. And the ball falls over. Provided he hasn't started his run-up, he's allowed to replace it. He's actually got Finlay Calder there in the old style technique of allowed a player to put his finger on the ball just to keep it upright, but Gavin Hastings turns down the opportunity and goes in for the kick. Held up in the wind and fades away across the posts. So half an hour gone, Scotland 7, Western Samoa 3.
It's a position I think that Scotland will be very happy getting this try. All sorts of defensive errors there by Western Samoa. Let's see it again. It's a good kick, and Stanger did very well, in fact, to pick it off his toes to get over for a try. But as I was saying, this is a good position for Scotland to be. When we're aware of that they're playing into the wind in this first half, it'll be quite an advantage for them in the second half.
The long drop out from Ailupo, and Gavin Hastings goes back. Yes, it was a result of pressure, that try. Scotland had all the pressure, and it looked as though the two defenders, either of them could have taken it well, but running into each other gave the opportunity for Stanger to capitalise on. So Scotland leading by 7 points to 3 and restarting through Chalmers. And this is Clay Farley. knock on. Give Scotland the scrum. Chalmers. Next touch, good touch.
It's interestingly there that once Scotland had struck the ball in the scrum, there was nothing coming through from the Western Samoan second row. Neither of the second row forward legs moved at all. They were quite happy just to lie in there.
Western Samoan line out. And the referee telling John Jeffrey and Vili Alalatoa to keep their distance from each other. Won by Jeffrey, but not very well. Back goes Armstrong. Oh, well played. Gary Armstrong. Sol. Armstrong again. Chalmers. Shield goes in. This is Batchup into a lot of space, forces Gavin Hastings back. And punches the ball against the wind into touch.
I think what is happening too, right from the very start, from the very first whistle, I think that Scotland are playing the game at a faster pace, faster than Western Samoa have been accustomed to so far.
Western Samoa has joined the line late and are penalised for doing so. A free kick because they joined the line late, giving themselves a run and a jump. So a little bit of naivety perhaps from the Western Samoans, allowing Gavin Hastings to not make touch though. Again the ball held up in the wind. That's Tangaloa's hoisted high kick. Gavin Hastings has to go back, takes it well. Doesn't get the mark though this time, and Armstrong is forced to kick for touch. Gary Armstrong again playing such a key role for Scotland, tidying up that time. He's at the centre of most of their attacks as well. The line out for Western Samoa, that's Stan Tuamulatai. Short line, won by Weir though, untidily. Western Samoa pile through. Vaya tries to dig it out. Vaya now, this is Batchup. This is Lamb, the long pass. This is Vayenga, thrown forward, recovered by Shield, and that was real danger for Scotland then.
But unusually in the midfield, the passing wasn't quite up to it. So often in the recent games down in Wales, the Western Samoans have showed how good they are at handling the ball going to hand, but then it went adrift.
Well, I think this is probably the coldest ground they've played on. Icy wind here at Murrayfield. This is Gavin Hastings, running from his own line, and Chalmers, Ilupo, the fullback, hoists the kick. It's too long. Oh, Gavin Hastings fly hack was a little bit adventurous, but he gets away with it.
He's actually covering a wee smile there. That was the volley that went wrong.
Could have been a spectacular result then if that had really miscued. This is Chalmers. 5 minutes left of this first half. Scotland leading 7-3. This is Shield. Into touch. 5 minutes to go till half-time. Another shortened line called by Samoa. Jumping at the front for them is Ioane. Bert whistles at the back. Ioane gets hands to it. Alalatoa can't tidy and knocks on.
When we look at the lineouts at the moment, according to my numbers, it's 7-6 to Scotland. There's not very much in it, but the difference is, as we saw in that lineout, the quality of Scotland's possession is better.
And the quality of their scrummage has been good. They've won 2 against the head, and they've kept it tidy on their own put-in, as they do now. And this is White on the pick-up. Armstrong to Chalmers. The kick's meant for Scott Hastings to chase. The Samoans have it. Bert Whistle, number 4, Bert Whistle. Bayer. Batch up and bunts now. This is Lima. Thrown back on the Scottish side as far as Gavin Hastings. Now Gavin Hastings. Outside him is Scott Hastings. And Stanger challenged by Batchup. Back goes Tormalatai. Scotland dive in for the ball and win the penalty.
You know, I could almost feel the gale force wind pounding on Big Stanger's chest there. You know, he's running into the wind, he could make no headway at all.
So, Armstrong bundled over, but Gavin Hastings again tidies up, and Jeffrey drives on. And Chalmers has it, advantage being played. This is Gavin Hastings. Stanger again. Stanger. Bundled over. Vaya goes back. And penalised the Western Samoans for holding back the Scottish player Stanger. And Sol will take another tap penalty. David Sol into the heart of the Western Samoans. Again, Chalmers back inside to Gavin Hastings. Lays the ball off well. Not coming out of that.
Even from the start of this game, Scotland have taken the game to Western Samoa, and quite often too, when the tackle gets in, Scotland, as Scott Hastings showed then, makes certain they retain the possession of the ball.
Another good set scrum from Scotland. White has it at his feet. The Samoan scrum disintegrates. And poor reward for Scotland that all they have is another put-in. Well, territorially, it looks as though Western Samoa have had the advantage, largely as a result of that strong wind. Scotland will be happy to be leading 7 points to 3, 39 minutes gone. This time the Samoans get the shove on, but Scotland control it through White. The pick up to Armstrong. Armstrong knocks the ball on, back goes Vaya. Knock on, scrum down to Western Samoa.
As Gary Armstrong was battling so hard there to just keep his momentum going forward, he actually knocked the ball out of his hand with his own knee. What a competitor he is.
Put in from Vaya. Not straight, so a free kick to Scotland. What will they do? They want a quick one. Jeffrey back inside to Allen. The try has been scored on that far side. What a try for Scotland. John Jeffrey, it looked to be a pick up and drive round the edge of the loose ball. Let's look at it again. Yes, John Jeffrey it was. Number 6 for Scotland. His 10th try in international rugby. And on the stroke of half-time, putting Scotland well clear.
But it's been the hallmark of this first half performance from Scotland, in that they haven't allowed the Western Samoans to settle down. Even the penalties that have been given, awarded to Scotland, Scotland latterly now have taken to running at the Western Samoans. They've kept Western Samoans on their toes, thus having the advantage all their own. And that's how the try came.
Conversion attempt from Gavin Hastings. Into the wind, what a good kick that is on the stroke of half-time. The conversion from Gavin Hastings, and the Scottish fans here at Murrayfield absolutely delighted with the half-time scoreboard, which reads Scotland 13, Western Samoa 3. Samoa 3, Scotland 13. The crowd have been registering their appreciation of that scoreline with a Mexican wave during the interval. The band is making its way off the field, and Scotland now ready to resume with a strong wind at their back. And Gordon Brown, the tactics seem obvious, don't they?
Well, I'm proud of the way the Scots boys have taken the game to Western Samoa right from the kick-off. They've run at them, they've ignored the strong wind, they've just said, let's just button down and get stuck in. And the score of 13-3, I must admit, I'm delighted with.
And Gavin Hastings restarts and kicks long. As we said, he's got the wind behind him, and our prediction in the commentary box is that Scotland will spend a lot of time kicking the ball up in the air and testing the Western Samoans near their own line. Bright sunshine now, but it's still very, very cold. The Western Samoans were here yesterday, couldn't believe how cold it was up here in Edinburgh. They're used to the South Sea Islands. The restart, a hand took from Weir, and White is bundled into touch.
Well, certainly the ball is in the Western Samoan court now. They've got to try and find some answers. But first of all, I think he's trying to get some possession. The quality possession going to the scrum half fire has not been good, was not good in that first half.
Won by the Western Samoans and tidied by Alalatoa. Vaya goes in and doesn't get it out. John Jeffrey, try scorer, along with Tony Stanger. And the Scottish forwards keen to get in on the scrum on this near side. It's Paul Burnell against the Samoan captain, Fatty Alofa. And so far Scotland have won 2 against the head. This time though, the scrum collapses on the far side where referee Derek Bevan is talking to David Soul, the Scotland captain, and his opposite number Alalatoa. The pick up from Lamb, back to scrum half fire, and Batchup can't do anything except push the ball into touch. Stephen Batchup, the brother of the New Zealand scrum half Graham Batchup. 2-4-5-1. David Soul, satisfied, I should think, as captain of Scotland at the front of the line there. On in the middle by Weir, but pushing and shoving by Scotland, so a penalty for the Samoans. Now what will they do? Will they kick for touch or will they tap and go? They'll tap and go. This is Fatty Alofa. Fatty Alofa. Birtwistle. By Farley back to Vaya. Vayenga. Not coming. So put in for Scotland. Over in the sunshine. The pick up from White. And Jeffrey's on his shoulder. And Jeffrey keeps going. Allen. Samoan steal it. Batchup. Vayenga tackled by Scott Hastings. And again, Scotland talk back. Tamalatai. Fatty Alofa. Birtwistle. Vaya. Batchup. Vayenga. Tangaloa. Good support, Ilupo. Ilupo still going. And Scotland steal it. This is Chris Gray. And Samoans penalised as they go offside.
Tremendous attacking play there from the Western Samoans. They're certainly taking a leaf out of Scotland's first half book by running the game back at Scotland, asking questions of Scotland.
But Scotland kick into space. They spotted that the full-back hadn't got back, and this is the Tupeloda chase. Back goes Batchup. Batchup goes outside Tukalo and outside Hastings. Batchup, long way to go, gets the support though on the inside from Lima. What a superb passage of play, Gerald.
It's been a very lively opening to the second half. One moment it looked as if Scotland were in defence, then Western Samoa, and they again counter-attack down that right.
The Samoans taking a leaf from Scotland's book. In the first half they ran just about everything because of the strong wind. Now the Samoans have to do the same. Tidied up this time by Scotland. Ball pushed out of Sol's hands, and Armstrong has to tidy. Calder. Again, that tackling's good. Armstrong, Chalmers. The high kick, underneath it is Lima. Lima, oh, good take on his fingertips. Now Lima. Tangaloa. Big and strong. Tangaloa steps inside and goes straight through one tackle. He's still going. But Armstrong is there first. Bodies diving across. The Scottish bodies penalised though this time. And the Western Samoans get the penalty. Vaya wants to take a quick one. Fadi Alofa. Lamb. Good tap tackle from Jeffrey. Batchup. Lima shrugs off Tukalo and kicks ahead. Lima chases. Ooh, and the ball just goes into touch as Weir goes back. He has to leap the hoardings.
But the game has been so loose in many ways in this second half. It's very exciting, of course, plenty of good running, but Scotland themselves must look to their tackling. Several examples so far in the second half where there's been very loose tackling in the Scottish defence. Probably because they've been spread so often and so wide.
Scottish line on their own line, they're just a metre away. Taken by Weir in the middle, what a good take. And Armstrong, he hasn't made touch. Lima, the long pass infield for Bunce. Ilupo, Batchup has Tangaloa outside him. Tangaloa, good tackle from Gavin Hastings. Samoans still have it. You've got to make the touch, Gordon Brown, haven't you?
Listen, it's criminal when you've got the ball in your hands, you're inside your own 22, you must make the clearing kicks get into touch. It's just it's a basic, but now the ball's back in the Western Samoa's hands.
Samoans with their tails up, two good attacks so far. This scrum, Vaya. This is Tangaloa. This is Bunce. Good defence.
Well, if Scotland started the first half with some fireworks, certainly it's the turn of the Western Samoans, taking, as you said, Gordon, the leaf out of the Scottish book. They're really running at the Scottish defence. Whatever ball they get, the ball is kept in the hands.
This is going to be a cracking match if it continues like this. Vaya, the scrum half. And again, that front row, all sorts of problems there. There's the Brian Williams in the middle of your picture, just 2 rows back, as Samoans win the ball. This is fed for Vailena. First in is Vaiafali. Vaya gets hands on the ball, but Armstrong steals it for Scotland. And the Samoan bodies dive over. And again, talking at the referee, Mr. Bevan won't take any lip. So Scotland get an extra 10 metres, and Gavin Hastings makes it a few more than that. Gavin Hastings, the fullback, 5 points already.
Well, Scotland certainly know now, Alistair, that the second half isn't going to be a walkover, just a matter of getting down into the Western Samoans half and putting points on the board.
One at the back by Western Samoa, but stolen by Weir for Scotland. Armstrong to Chalmers. Kicks for position and forces the Samoans back on their heels.
And that's what will take the sting of the Western Samoans, is that long diagonal kick, forcing their heavier forwards to trundle across field.
Craig Chalmers then at outside half, still comparatively inexperienced, but vital to Scotland's efforts. His 20th cap, he's only 23 earlier this week. And the Samoans are back in defence. This is Tumulatai, won by Birtwistle though for Samoa. Vaya can't hold it. Scotland though go offside. And the tap from Tumulatai and Fatialofa. Chalmers gets hands on it, and Calder dives in for Scotland. And Scotland win the put-in. And Scotland 13-3 ahead, and at the moment looking favourites to go through to the semi-final here at Murrayfield. The pick-up from White, Shield, Hastings, Gavin Hastings stays upright in the tackle and creates a target for his forwards. Back it comes for Armstrong. And whoever wins this match, of course, will play the winner of the match which is following this one live on ITV. It's England against France in Paris. But it looks at the moment as if it's going to be Scotland, although this is still a lot of rugby left in this match, Gerald.
Yes, indeed, and I was just thinking how well Gavin Hastings has played for Scotland this afternoon. So often he's had the ball in his hands when he's gone into the tackle and the ball emerging. He's always made certain that the ball comes back on his side. The ball doesn't die with him, nor does it go to the opposition. Good play from him throughout this afternoon.
Certainly big and powerful, Gavin Hastings, and this is Graham Shield, the injured player. He's only a youngster. Only 21, winning his second cap today. He came on as a replacement for Chalmers in the last match and plays club rugby with Chalmers. And still those front rows have a score or two to settle. Western Samoans tidy up. Oh, good play from Viafale. Lays the ball back for Perellini. Vaya, Batchup. Bunch long pass, Ilupo. Inside to Lamb. Vaya, Batchup again. Vayenga, Ilupo. Oh, poor pass and the intercept by Tukalo. And unfortunately, as Ivan Tukalo goes racing in to score under the post, already the referee has blown back. The Scottish were offside, and poor old Ivan Tukalo thought he'd scored another try for Scotland, but the whistle had already gone. You can see it, the tackler there offside, and although Tukalo picked it up and sprinted home, the penalty had already been awarded in Western Samoa's favour.
Oh, what a wonderful passage of play that was from Western Samoa. They've got a terrific back row in Faifale, Lamb and Perellini, and in that extended movement, attacking movement from them, starting on their own 22-metre line, looked unpromising to begin with at the back of the scrum, but so influential, this back row trio of Western Samoa. Here it is. They won some good balls, some good passing. When we say earlier on that they have the efficiency and the discipline so often at forward, they certainly show the Polynesian style and flair in the back division. Some good handling from them, winning the loose possession once more.
And back live, they're doing it again. The Western Samoans down that right touchline. Superb play. That was Perellini, number 7, charging forward. And they're certainly taking the game to Scotland, the Western Samoans. Interestingly, that back row you were talking about, Gerald, 10 years a man younger than their counterparts, the venerable Scottish back row of Calder, Jeffrey and White.
And they've really played an influential part in this World Cup for the Western Samoans.
Aimed at the back for one of them, untidily. Scotland fire through. Chris Gray. Gray again. Armstrong wants to get hands on it, but the Samoans dive over. Gavin Hastings will kick for touch, and successfully. "14 minutes of this second half gone. Scotland 13, Western Samoa 3. And this line out on the far side. Scotland won slightly more line-outs, more cleanly certainly, and that's another good one. This is Shield. The kick ahead is meant for position, and Ilupo can only shepherd the ball into touch. So Scotland quite obviously content to play the ball as near as they can to the Western Samoan line. Tuamulatai, a four-square Samoan hooker. Jeffrey is at the front. Weir gets hands on it. Armstrong has to tidy up. Armstrong! The pick up from Weir. Scotland desperate for that ball. They pick it up through Allen. Hands on it from the Samoans. Derek Bevan's signal can't be mistaken. The Samoans penalised for handling the ball in that ruck, and this will give a kick at goal for Gavin Hastings.
That's the difference that the wind has made, really. In the first half, when Scotland were in this position, so the captain made certain that they took the quick one and ran at them. But now, with the advantage of the wind, certainly he wants to give the advantage to Hastings, but also, I would have thought, to let Scotland themselves settle down.
Yes, you saw the hand coming through there, but you know, I've really got to take my hat off to Gary Armstrong, the Scottish scrum half, because the ball got thumped back from the line out. It went behind him, and he still went back, recovered, regained the situation and attacked, ran infield to keep the ball in play. There he is. What a man.
A hard, nuggety little individual. Again, only been playing 2 or 3 years in international rugby, but as hard as nails. The British Lion as well, as is this man, Gavin Hastings. That's it. Hastings successful again. Another superb penalty from Gavin Hastings, his 8th point of the match, and Scotland 16, Western Samoa 3. We've had 17 minutes of this second half.
And that was great reward for the Scottish forward effort in the second half. I feel sorry for the Western Samoan forwards because of all the hard work they have done since half-time, and they've had no reward for it whatsoever. So now the Scottish forwards' tails are up.
Ilupo restarts. That's meant for Bunce to chase. Bunce gets the knee to it. Gray has to recover. He's bundled over by Fagiolofa. Now they want it. Vaya digs it out. Batchup, the drop goal. Hits it well. And successfully straight between the posts, Stephen Batchup. A superb drop goal for Western Samoa. 18 minutes of this second half gone. It's Scotland 16, Western Samoa 6. Great skill from the outside half.
And it's so important for the Western Samoans to respond quickly to that penalty of Gavin Hastings. And what a beautifully struck ball that is from the outside half. He was under a bit of pressure from White, but beautifully struck and very accurate.
Stephen Batchup, the brother of Graham Batchup, the New Zealand scrum half, and plays many times with him for Canterbury down in New Zealand. Stephen Batchup, 26 years old. Scotland restart, long kick from Gavin Hastings. So the 22 dropout for the Western Samoans. Ilupo, the fullback, is the man who takes these restart kicks. Hands to it from Viafali and tidied up by Tuamulatai. Batchup, the long pass, Vayenga. Lima's going to chase that. And Ilupo feeding bunts. Bunts dummies. Back inside for the Samoans. Vaya, Batchup. Vayenga. Vayenga! Won by Scotland though, Burnell. And Jeffrey. Armstrong kicks for the corner. Tangaloa has to go back. And touches down for the 22 dropout.
I was surprised at that kick coming from Armstrong, because it looked to me as if he had plenty of men to his right then, could have kept the ball in the hand. Good position to attack, in fact, but he chose, incorrectly in my mind, to kick for the corner.
Ilupo. Stolen by Calder. Armstrong. Chalmers, will he get the drop at goal? Charged down by Batchup. Hastings has to go back and just gets the foot to it.
Well, the Scottish crowd had their hearts in their mouths there, but certainly Gavin Hastings was sharp enough to recover the situation.
Shorten line out called by the Samoans. Johan Arnie gets a hand to it. This is Fadi Alofa. Gets inside to Birtwistle. Vaya and Batchup. This is Perellini. And the Samoans not quite there first, and as they dived over, they were penalised, and Scotland get the tap penalty. And Gavin Hastings indicates that he wants to kick at goal. A monstrous kick this'll be.
It sure will, but at the restart kick after the Western Samoans scored their drop goal, I mean, he very casually kicked the ball right between the sticks from the kick-off, so it's certainly well within his distance.
Well, the ball landed, in fact, just near the dead ball line, so you had the distance and had the height and the accuracy.
Well, he's had a Super World Cup so far. Kicked 33 points before this match, kicked another 2 penalties and the conversion, so he's on 41 for the tournament already. 22 minutes gone in the second half. A sense of anticlimax there. The crowd went silent. They waited for Gavin Hastings to take the kick, and the ball fell over.
But this gives a better testimony than anything how strong the wind is out there, in fact, that he is able, confidently enough, to take a pot shot from this distance.
Ian McGeechan there, looking on. Hastings thumps it straight over the post. What a kick from Gavin Hastings! A marvellous, marvellous kick from the big Scottish fullback, and from the moment he struck it, you knew that was going straight between the posts.
I happen to think that he's had such a fine game this afternoon. If we cast our minds back to the very few first seconds of the game, how he got involved with the running with the ball at that moment. He's done a lot of tackling since then. He's done well in running, and certainly that superb kick deserved the 3 points.
This is it. Eye on the ball, and he really struck it, didn't he? And he looked back, and he knew it was going over, didn't he? Yes, there he is, very pleased by that one. And the restart, though, sees Scotland winning possession. Armstrong saw there was a gap there. He kicks long and forces Ilupo back. And Ilupo into touch. Nothing much else he could do, and good tactics indeed from Scotland, and especially their scrum half, Gary Armstrong. Scotland try to peel round the back. One by Perellini, knocked on by Lamb. And Sol also knocked it on. The first one, though, from Lamb. So the scrum down and the put in for Scotland. Scotland 19, Western Samoa 6. The back row move, White to Armstrong, to Calder, Calder the dummy. Inside him is Jeffrey, Calder keeps going. Armstrong, Armstrong now. Held in the tackle. And penalised this time, Scotland. Injured man down there, Viafali, for Western Samoa, preventing his scrum half from taking a quick tap penalty.
Yes, the Scottish charge to the line there was certainly superbly backed up. Finlay Calder, I felt, went just slightly too far.
Some confusion down there. Nobody quite knew whether the referee had said start play or not. The Scots charged forward, and David Sol can see the funny side of that. The crowd can't. There's a man being treated there, and Scotland thought that the tap penalty had been taken. Waits for the injured man, says the referee. Now he's happier, and all surprise having been lost, Steve Batchett will kick for touch. Oh no, he won't, he sliced it well into the midfield. This is Tukalo. Oh, that sidestep off the left foot. This is White. What a tackle from Tangaloa. Stanger bundled into touch. Been a hard physical game. Scotland will be happy to be 19 points to 6 up. 14 minutes or so to go. One by Ioane for Samoa. Scotland go offside. Now they'll try and run this one. They're so far away from the Scottish line. This is Lamb. Vaya and Batchup. Batchup steps inside. Now where's the support? Comes now from Alaalatoa. Tomalatai. Vaya shows the dummy. Vaya! Long pass inside. Tomalatai, what a good take from the hooker. Vaya again. Fatialofa. Alaalatoa's in there. And again for Western Samoa. Tangaloa. Tangaloa goes straight through the tackle. Tangaloa! Then outside him. Lima can't hold it. Bunce recovers and drops the ball again and penalised, but what a breathless piece of play from the Samoans, Gerald.
Oh, there was some superb dummy scissors to begin with by Vaya, coming down here on the left and passing it in. Then was it to Alaalatoa and Fatialofa. It's a marvellous play, and how well then they kept the possession to move right again.
But for all that effort, they're still 30 metres or so from the Scottish line, and the Scottish have a scrum. And Gavin Hastings has time and space to make a good touch.
I've got to say, I found it incredible there when the Western Samoans attack broke down there, when the pass went behind the player. The Scottish crowd groaned. We're not that many points up.
Yeah, it's great rugby from the Samoans. Superb handling skills. Real commitment, but piling through is Jeffrey. And a knock on though by a White forward. George Weir has to come all the way back. Samoan scrum. Batchup. Vayenga. Ailupo. Tangaloa again. Tangaloa takes some stopping, doesn't he? Perellini. Lamb. Lamb. Batchup. Ailupo. Perellini. Perellini is bundled over by Calder. Gray Hastings pushed in the touch.
Again, we see how useful and how influential 6, 7 and 8 are for Western Samoa. So often are they in the heat of the action. The build-up for Western Samoa has been so good. They've been terrific moves, good handling, but somehow or other it goes astray at the very last moment.
Tomulatai, the hooker, aims at the back for Viafali. Scottish jerseys pulling down. So a penalty for Samoa. Now what will they do? They must run it, surely. Oh, well, I got that wrong, didn't I? Decided not to run it, and Vaya, the scrum half, will kick at goal. They've got 10 minutes or so left of this match, 19 points to 6 down. So perhaps they feel that points on the board are valuable at this stage.
I'm sure it'll be of some concern to Ian McGeechan, the Scottish coach, too, in that Scotland have given away, 8 penalties in the second half to 5 given to the Western Samoans.
I think also, though, if I remember from my playing days, when the opposition were really trying to get the ascendancy, you were a wee bit more determined to kill the ball and try and stop their flow.
And the possession, to me, in the line-out too seems to have dried up for Scotland. The ball seems to have gone better, more cleanly to the Western Samoan side.
Vaya fades off the post now. Gavin Hastings in trouble, but equal to it. A moment of trouble for Scotland as that ball looked to be fading away, then it hit the post and bounced back, but Gavin Hastings was there to tidy up. It's Vaya, the scrum half. And goal kicker, 1 from 3 today. Nobody's getting that one except Gray. At the second attempt, Jeffrey. Armstrong. Oh, great kick. Great kick from the scrum half. Real tactical appreciation of what Scotland require from Gary Armstrong.
And how much he has shouldered the responsibility at scrum half. He's played a very protective game of his outside half, Chalmers, this afternoon, knowing, of course, that he's only just recovered from injury.
8 minutes of normal time to go. Scotland leading by 19 points to 6. And piling through, tidied up by the Samoans. Samoans winning the put-in. Just about having a bit of forward momentum. At the bottom of it is Viafali, flank forward, scored a try against Wales. It's been instrumental this afternoon. Vaya, the pick-up from Lamb, fed to Vayenga, a little chip ahead. Chalmers takes it well and finds Hastings, Gavin Hastings. Hoists it high, and it goes straight in the touch. So they'll be back level with where Hastings kicked it. A rare mistake from the fullback. He's had a super game today. Possession there, looking Samoans appearing to have more than that, although we up here in the commentary box might disagree with that. 7 minutes left. Scotland 19, Western Samoa 6. Scotland win the short line through Weir. This is Allen. Allen, the tackle coming in from Fatty Alofa, but Allen stays on his feet. Armstrong. Soul finds White. Derek White. Gray. Armstrong. The dummy. White picks up. Jeffrey has it. Try given. Well, it looked to be John Jeffrey right at the base of that ladder, and again, he's not making it difficult for us, but John Jeffrey has scored his second try of the match. The white shark from Kelso, John Jeffrey, has scored again and made the game absolutely safe for Scotland.
Well, the sheer belligerence there of the Scottish forward support play, it was quite magnificent. And of course, the big man, what a welcome he's getting back to the halfway line here. But there you see him, he drives on, the Scottish pack certainly right behind him. And you can see him twisting down there, right on the line and giving the score. Even has the audacity to maybe look up at the referee to say, OK, did you see that, pal?
Good positioning from the referee, Derek Bevan. He could see everything there. And John Jeffrey, leading try scorer for a Scottish forward. Now has 11, it's just inched ahead of Derek White. He's also the most capped Scottish flank forward.
But if Jeffrey got the try, and all the forwards did well there to get behind and to get him over the line. But the man in that movement to me that did so much was David Soul, the captain, in fact, who got the ball, was tackled, and he gave a superb, he maintained possession first of all, then gave a superb pass. The movement could so easily have stopped there.
Hastings. Oh, he's on such good form this World Cup, Gavin Hastings. Another superb kick from him, and Scotland go well clear now. We've had 35 minutes of the second half, just 5 minutes to go, and Scotland are leading by 25 points to 6.
And of course, Alistair, all the Scots now in the crowd are all thinking about this afternoon over in Paris, hoping that England are going to win. Here's JJ picking the ball up, the Scottish forward's driving in. He stays on his feet, and then he gets obviously twists round and scores. But now we're looking forward to English beating France this afternoon and then coming here next Saturday.
Scotland through Armstrong. Tangaloa goes back. Tangaloa, so big, so strong. Now Scotland steal it through Chalmers and Gray. No advantage from the knock-on by the Western Samoans, so Scotland will get that put in.
Yes, all the Scottish boys seem to be shepherding big Tagaloa, the big left winger, infield. Nobody wanted to tackle him head on. Hey, they're not so daft.
Armstrong with a put in, White with a pick-up. Armstrong to Calder, to Stanger in space. Tony Stanger. Carolini comes in for the tackle, inside to Jeffrey, can't make a hat-trick. The knock-on. White just about held up there, but there was a knock-on beforehand. But again, a crisp move from Scotland.
And crisp from the back row. They've used this move several times during the afternoon. Here we find Stanger at the end of it, but the good work had already been done from the base of the scrum. First, White, Calder, who gave the pass to Stanger.
Yes, in fact, JJ seemed to actually overrun Tony Stanger there. He was going too fast.
Well, the crowd want to cap their afternoon with another try. And they get a free kick. So what they do? Soul, David Soul, lays the ball back. Not coming. And again a scrum put in though for Scotland. 2 minutes left at normal time. Scotland 25 points to 6 ahead. 3 tries from Stanger and 2 tries, 2 of them from John Jeffrey, 1 from Stanger. 13 points from Gavin Hastings, and rock solid scrummaging from them. The Western Samoans collapse it, and Scotland get the penalty now. They've won the match. Do they want to go for a try? The crowd want them to, but David Soul says no, we'll have a kick at goal. Why give up the chance of 3 points when it's there?
Well, I think it's well worth mentioning at this stage, because look, it looks now that Scotland quite clearly are going to win. We must remember the value of this Western Samoan team, how they've enlivened this World Cup in the early stages. Certainly down in Wales, we warmed to them down there, and they played some lovely rugby, as we have seen this afternoon. They've contributed such a lot to this World Cup so far, but they must rue, I think, the early moments of the second half where they played such good rugby, had plenty of possession, but failed to get the points on the board.
Getting points on the board, no problem for this man, Gavin Hastings. 13 points already in this match. 46 in the competition so far. And we're on the stroke of full time now. Scotland 28, Western Samoa 6. Only injury time to play, but the Samoans still want to keep playing. They've contributed, as Gerald said, so much to this tournament. Played some great rugby all through, and again today. So far only a penalty and a drop goal for their efforts, but they really have warmed the crowd.
Yes, and what fabulous skill they've shown and innovation, winning ball from the set piece.
Restart from Ailupo. This is Alalatoa. Vaya and Lamb. Again the number 8. And Perolini. And Bunce. And Vayenga. Bunce again. Batchup. Long pass this way to Lamb. Alalatoa the prop. Oh, Tangaloa can't hold it this time. Tangaloa, though, they take some stopping. Vayenga. Lamb, long pass. Finds Ailupo. This is Bunce. Bunce. No support there. The first man is Jeffrey for Scotland. And Armstrong. And Armstrong clears so well the scrum half. And as he does so, the final whistle goes. The Scottish arms in the crowd go aloft. The final score here at Murrayfield, meaning that Scotland have gone through to a semi-final again here at Murrayfield next Saturday. They'll play the winners of the next match between France and England. The final score here at Murrayfield, Scotland 28, Western Samoa 6.